So much thanks to the developers for the review copy. Remember, each month we're giving away a free game to the subscriber who is most active and engaged with the SwitchUp family. The game this month will be Die for Valhalla, which is an absolutely fantastic one. When it comes to my favourite films, the second always seems to be the best. Terminator 2? Yeah. Aliens? Best one. But what about games? Well, Resident Evil 2 was absolutely incredible. Xenoblade 2? Eventually, it's pretty good. Assassin's Creed 2, definitely. All better than the first. And now we have the second Banner Saga on Nintendo Switch. Does it live up to this entirely selected and possibly not true reflection of sequels? Let's find out.
Across a breaking world. And words don't keep you safe.
After a tragic death, Banner Saga 2 picks up right where the first game left off. Without spoiling that story, things have developed with the Dredge, and you must now begin another epic journey to the city of Aberrang to safeguard your people once again. You are given a choice of main character, but whoever you choose, suffice to say they've been through some extreme trauma and will not be the same for it. Of note was how well the writers did this time around at making you feel the weight of sorrow upon the character you choose. Perhaps they will charge into battle with little care for their own life, or maybe lash out at loved ones. Everything about the story feels more tender this time around, more real. For new players, there is a handy story recap mode, but I would strongly urge you to play through it yourself. With the upcoming third game just over the horizon on Nintendo Switch, now is the perfect time to dive into this deeply rewarding and personal journey. Throughout your quest, which notably begins upon water this time, you will be given choices to make. These will range from helping people with food, plugging leaky boats, visiting monuments, or foiling traps. The developers have cranked these up as well. You will have much more to do while your army marches or sails across the frozen and often beautiful terrain. Story is fantastic and feels personalised by each playthrough and the choices you make. The sequel sets the series up nicely for a stunning third installment. Expect to spend agonising minutes on each decision, knowing that a bad choice or a weak one will cost you lives, renown, or the respect of your people. There are 8 long chapters in all. You take control of Rook, Alette, Bolverk, Ivor and Juno, but mainly your story still concentrates on either Rook or Alette. Story scores 19 out of 20. My only gripe are some slight pacing issues at some points, but overall you feel a part of something much greater than yourself. It is excellent. The sequel is a refinement of an already excellent game. For those unaware, you mainly control one of 2 characters from the first game, Rook or his daughter Alette. The reluctant leaders this time around of a village of people fleeing to the assumed safety of the walls of Aberrang. This time around you have the added pressure of another leader of men second guessing you at every turn. I love this story arc as it affected the decisions I made in the game. While in past games I felt free to make any choices, having this other character, Rugger, watching, changed the way I played the game. A prime example was a group of bandits who tried to trick me into leaving my boats behind. Having seen straight through the ploy, I caught them red-handed trying to steal from me. Now in the past games I would have spared them with a warning. This time around I shot the ringleader in the chest with an arrow. This impressed Rugger and his men, which subsequently will have an impact on the outcome of the game. The gameplay choices you make just feel important. While they won't always necessarily impact the overarching story, you still kick yourself when a bad choice costs lives. It never feels unfair as such, as hindsight is such a powerful tool in this game. Combat is once again presented in a turn-based isometric style, with the beautiful animations and mechanics returning from the first game. Characters' actions are ordered, which is shown here. You can move only one character at a time when it's their turn. Each character can use his or her willpower to extend the range they can travel as well as the damage they do. However, as in the first game, it's a finite quantity. Combat environments look great, with cover becoming much more important this time around. Using it well can mean channeling a force of enemies where you want them, essentially negating their superior numbers, a la 300. You can train members of your cohort to become warriors. This has the knock-on effect of reducing the amount of scavenging and foraging that they will do. To progress, you must have enough food for your group. This can be purchased using the renown you gain in battles and through your choices. The game follows this tight loop, combined with excellent story to keep the whole experience constantly engaging, while also allowing you to be as hands-on with the group as you'd like. The world map definitely deserves an honourable mention this time, as it offers you much of the lore of the game. From a gameplay perspective, it once again reinforces that this is a real world and that your choices in these ancient places are important. You can also read ahead to the places you will visit, and it adds to the desire to complete the experience. Your party start out quite advanced this time to reflect the fact they've been through many adventures already, so your characters are quite leveled up. You can still add many items to these, and as you go through the game you'll find various items to improve the stats of these characters. More advanced combat tactics also become available as you progress, such as the shield wall and other skills your characters can use. Leveling up your characters is as simple as spending your renown points. But remember, you also need that same renown to buy food for your group. Gameplay is more a refinement than a reinvention, while keeping all the systems which made the first game just so damn good. The increased numbers of incidents along the way was very welcome. Gameplay scores 18 out of 20.
Now stand down, or you'll be missing more than your horns. Stand down, you son of a yacht!
The music carries a sense of weight and gravitas usually reserved for large-scale epic films. During some cutscenes, there is narration, but generally the voices are not narrated, which given the amount of dialogue is understandable. Sound effects are great throughout, especially environmental sound effects, which as you read certain story elements will wax and wane in the background. Combat sounds are fantastic. Every element has a suitable sound effect, from knocking your bow to crashing a two-handed axe into the skull of an enemy. The only real lacking element here is the HD rumble, which again hasn't really been worked on at all from my perspective. Music, sound and HD rumble score 18 out of 20 overall. The graphics are simply beautiful. It was great to have the journey start out on the water, with the various ships gliding silently across, mountains towering in the backgrounds and huge trees looming large on the coast. I mentioned the inspirations in my previous review from Elvind Earl's artwork, but do you know what? The Banner Saga stands well and truly on its own 2 feet. The whole thing resembles a moving painting, and a beautiful one at that. Combat animations and movement are on point, and the battle environments themselves are much more varied this time around. Graphics overall score 18 out of 20. They're a joy to behold and make the journey through the world interesting and visually enthralling. The game is once again priced at $19.99 in the US or £17.99 here in the UK. The same as the first game, which I felt that title was a little overpriced compared to its mobile counterparts. This was perhaps an unfair statement in some regards, as actually the game is very reasonably priced, but it still needed mentioning. With the second game releasing at the same price, I would have liked to, or maybe hoped to, see some sort of double pack or even a trilogy pack option. For me, that would make perfect business sense, as well as essentially ensure a larger initial purchase. Even if the third game was merely a pre-order, that is not to say when the third game releases they won't offer something similar, but at this stage it is sadly lacking. If you're listening, developers, offer all 3 games together with a $10 discount and hit the top of the eShop faster than you can say Saga. Overall, value is still good and I preferred this game over the first one, but I would have liked a slight reduction for owners of the original game. Value scores 15 out of 20. Overall, every aspect of the Banner Saga's second outing is either as good or improved over the original. The tweaks are minor, but I found the whole experience to be as fresh as the first. The story arc was more appealing to me, partly due to becoming attached to these characters and playing out their new lives after the fallout of the first great game. Make no mistake, if you haven't played them, they are essential, and the ability to use touchscreen is brilliant. This is the perfect game to play when you're on a long commute, a journey, or sat in the doctor's office watching everyone else twiddle their thumbs. Overall, the Banner Saga 2 scores a SwitchUp score of 88%. Story-driven games don't really get much better than this. The graphics are beautiful, the sound's amazing, and the decisions that you have to make throughout your journey will affect the outcome of your adventure. If you've enjoyed this review, do consider maybe subscribing to the channel for all things Switch all the time. And remember, leave a comment down below and stay engaged to win that copy of Die for Valhalla. The winner will be announced at the end of June. See ya!